I thought signing mortgage papers at my mother-in-law's dinner table was just routine. My wife smiled. Her sister poured more wine. Diane called me. Such a cooperative husband. 3 weeks later, I discovered I'd signed away my $920,000 house. But here's what they didn't know. A hidden camera had been watching them plan everything. And I'd been watching that footage for weeks before I ever picked up that pen. My name is Thomas Harrison, though everyone calls me Tom. I'm 47 years old, a civil engineer who spent the last 22 years designing bridges and highway systems across Northern California. I've been married to Amanda for 19 years. We have 2 kids, Brandon, who just turned 17 and is looking at colleges, and Lily, our surprise blessing who's 4 years old and has her mother's blue eyes. 3 months ago, we bought our dream house in Mill Valley. $920,000 for a craftsman-style home with a view of the bay. Amanda found it, fell in love with it, and her mother Diane offered to help with the down payment. A generous loan, she called it. Family helping family. I thought we were building our future. Turns out, I was funding my own destruction. The phone rang on a Tuesday afternoon in late October. I was in my home office, reviewing structural plans for a new overpass project in Sacramento, when an unknown number lit up my screen. Normally, I'd let go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Mr. Harrison? Thomas Harrison. The voice was older, male, careful. Speaking. My name is George Hamilton. I'm the previous owner of your home on Cascade Drive. I sat up straighter. Mr. Hamilton, is everything all right? Is there a problem with the house? Not with the house exactly. He paused, and I heard him take a breath. Mr. Harrison, I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen carefully. When I sold you the property, I thought I disconnected all the security systems. But I made a mistake. There's a CCTV camera still active in your living room, hidden in the smoke detector above the fireplace. It's been recording to my cloud storage. My stomach tightened. You've been recording inside my house. Not intentionally. I only discovered it yesterday when I was reviewing my storage subscriptions. I was going to delete everything without looking, but the file sizes were large, which meant recent activity. So He trailed off. I watched some of it. Mr. Harrison, I saw what your wife, your mother-in-law, and your sister-in-law were planning while you were at work. Don't tell your wife about this call. Come alone. We need to meet. The world tilted sideways. What did you see? My voice sounded distant, like someone else was speaking. Not over the phone. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock. There's a coffee shop called the Daily Grind on Miller Avenue. I'll be in the back corner. Come alone, Mr. Harrison. And don't tell anyone about this call. He hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Downstairs, I could hear Lily singing to herself in the playroom. Through the window, I watched a hawk circle lazily above the redwoods. Planning what? I didn't sleep that night. Amanda came home around 6 with Lily, both of them laughing about something that happened at Diane's house. My daughter ran to me, arms wide, and I picked her up like I always did. She smelled like cookies and her grandmother's expensive perfume. Daddy, Grandma, let me help make snickerdoodles. Lily wrapped her small arms around my neck. Did she now? I forced a smile, looking over her head at Amanda. My wife set her purse on the kitchen counter. She was wearing a new dress I hadn't seen before, something elegant and probably expensive. Mom's been teaching her to bake. It's adorable. I'm sure it is. I set Lily down gently. Hey, sweetheart. Why don't you go wash your hands? Almost time for dinner. As her daughter skipped toward the bathroom, Amanda moved closer. You okay? You look tense. Just a long day. The Sacramento project is running into soil stability issues. The lie came easily. Too easily. She kissed my cheek. My hard-working engineer. What would we do without you? I wanted to ask her the same question. What would she do without me? Apparently, she'd been planning that answer with her mother and sister. Brandon came downstairs then, backpack slung over one shoulder. At 17, he was already taller than me, with Amanda's dark hair and my build. Dad, can I borrow the truck Friday night? There's a party at Jake's place. We'll talk about it later. I ruffled his hair, and he ducked away with a grin. Dinner was the same as always. Amanda talked about her volunteer work at the community center. Brandon complained about his AP history teacher. Lily told us an elaborate story about a squirrel she'd seen in Grandma Diane's yard. Normal family conversation. The kind of evening I'd lived 1,000 times before. Except nothing was normal anymore. After the kids went to bed, Amanda and I sat in the living room. She was scrolling through her phone, occasionally smiling at something. I pretended to read engineering journals, but my eyes kept drifting to the smoke detector above the fireplace. Somewhere inside that innocent-looking white disc was a camera, recording us, recording everything. Had it captured them planning whatever George Hamilton had seen? Were there videos of my wife, her mother, and her sister sitting in this very room, discussing how to destroy me? Tom, Amanda's voice pulled me back. Yeah. You're staring at the ceiling. What's so fascinating up there? I looked at her, really looked at her. She was beautiful at 39, maybe more so than when we'd met. Laugh lines around her eyes, a confidence she hadn't had in her 20s. I'd watched her grow into the woman she was. I'd supported her through everything. Her father's death 3 years ago. Her struggles with postpartum depression after Lily. Every challenge, every triumph. And she was planning something. With her mother. With her sister. Just thinking about the smoke detector, I said carefully, should probably check the batteries. They're fine. The house is only 3 months old, remember? She set down her phone. Are you sure you're okay? You've been distant all evening. I'm fine. I stood up. Just tired. I think I'll head to bed early. I'll be up soon. Just want to finish this article. I climbed the stairs, each step feeling heavier than the last. In our bedroom, I stood at the window, looking out at the lights of Mill Valley below. Somewhere out there, George Hamilton had footage that would apparently change everything. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I find out what my wife had been planning. Tomorrow, I'd learn what my marriage really was. But tonight, I had to sleep next to her. Had to pretend everything was normal. Had to be the Tom Harrison she expected me to be. I undressed mechanically, brushed my teeth, climbed into bed. 20 minutes later, Amanda joined me. She curled against my side like she had for 19 years. Love you, she murmured, already half asleep. Love you too, I whispered to the darkness, and wondered if either of us meant it anymore. I told Amanda I had a site inspection in Sacramento. Left the house at noon, kissed Lily goodbye, waved at my wife who was already texting someone. 20 minutes later, I pulled into the parking lot of the Daily Grind. George Hamilton was waiting in the back corner booth, laptop open, coffee untouched. He was late 60s, gray hair, the weathered face of a man who'd seen too much. Mr. Harrison. He stood, shook my hand. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. I slid into the booth. Show me what you have. He turned his laptop toward me. I installed that camera 5 years ago after break-in. Hid it in the smoke detector. When I sold you the house, I thought I disconnected everything. He paused. I was wrong. The video started playing. Sharp quality. Too sharp. My living room in perfect detail. Amanda, Diane, and Karen sitting around the coffee table like old friends at brunch. So we're all agreed. Diane's voice came through clearly. Once the house is in Amanda's name, we proceed. My hands gripped the table edge. Karen leaned forward. You're sure Tom won't notice the title transfer? Amanda laughed. My wife actually laughed. Tom pays attention to bridges, not legal documents. He just signs wherever I point. He trusts me completely. The words hit like a hammer to the chest. George paused it. There are 2 more recordings. This one is from 2 weeks ago. Keep going. Diane shuffled papers. This is the quitclaim deed. Once he signs this, the house transfers entirely to you, Amanda. Jeffrey says we can disguise it as refinancing paperwork. Jeffrey Pierce, Diane's attorney, the one she'd insisted we use. And the loan documents? Amanda asked. Already prepared, Diane said. Backdated to show I loaned you $400,000 3 years ago. This proves the house was purchased with my money, making it your separate property in the divorce. Divorce. Karen giggled. It's almost too easy. It's justice, Diane snapped. Tom has held Amanda back for years. His middle-class mentality, his refusal to accept help from family. He's dead weight. I watched Amanda nod, the mother of my children, nodding as her mother called me worthless. What about Brandon and Lily? Karen asked. The kids will adjust, Amanda said. Lily's too young to understand. Brandon's almost 18. You'll get primary custody easily, Diane added. With the house in your name and my support, no judge will separate the children from their mother. George stopped the video. I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process this. 19 years of marriage. 2 children. Planning to steal everything and discard me like garbage. How long have they been planning this? I finally asked. At least 6 weeks based on the footage. Maybe longer. He handed me a flash drive. Everything's on here. You need an attorney. A good one. I took the drive, felt its terrible weight. One more thing, George said. In the last recording from 4 days ago, they mentioned getting you to sign this weekend. Whatever they're planning, it's happening soon. This weekend. Saturday. I stood, legs unsteady. Thank you for warning me. I was married once, he said quietly. My wife's family did something similar 30 years ago. I lost everything because no one warned me. His eyes met mine. Don't let them win. I walked out into the afternoon sun, got in my truck, and sat there for 20 minutes. Then I pulled out my phone and started searching for divorce attorneys who specialized in fraud. Laura Mitchell's office was in downtown San Francisco, 12th floor with bay views. She was 41, sharp eyes, the kind of lawyer who'd seen every marriage scam ever invented. Mr. Harrison. She shook my hand firmly. Show me what you have. I handed her the flash drive. My wife, her mother, and her sister are planning to steal my house through fraud. They're going to trick me into signing a quit claim deed, then file for divorce. She plugged in the drive and watched the first video in silence. When it ended, she leaned back. This is excellent evidence. But we have a problem. California is a two-party consent state. This recording is technically illegal. My heart sank. So we can't use it. I didn't say that. The previous owner installed it legally for security. He forgot to disconnect it. That's negligence, not criminal intent. And he reported evidence of a crime to the victim. She tapped her pen. Here's what we do. We build a parallel case. Use what you know to gather legitimate evidence. Let them think their plan is working while we prepare to destroy them. You want me to sign the papers? First, you're going to sign something for me. She pulled out a document. This is a sworn declaration stating you were deceived, that you believed you were signing refinancing paperwork, that you trusted your wife and had no reason to suspect fraud. I read it carefully. My engineering background made me cautious. This protects me. This establishes your state of mind before the fraud. When they claim you knew what you were signing, we have proof you didn't. She slid it toward me. We're documenting their intent and your innocence. I signed it. Her assistant notarized it immediately. Now tell me everything about your wife's family, Laura said. I spent 90 minutes explaining. Diane's old money background, her contempt for my middle-class upbringing, how Amanda had changed over the years, becoming more like her mother, Karen's transactional view of marriage. Laura took detailed notes. This isn't your wife's idea. This is Diane's plan. She's done this before, I'd bet on it. She controlled Amanda's father through money, and now she's teaching her daughters the same playbook. What do I do? Go home. Act normal. This weekend when they present the papers, sign them. Let Amanda think it worked. Meanwhile, I'll investigate Diane Westbrook and Jeffrey Pierce. I'm also filing a sealed motion with the court establishing our fraud claim before they file for divorce. How long do I pretend? Until they make their move. Once Amanda files using that fraudulent deed, we strike. We reveal everything. The recordings. Your statement. We don't just win, Mr. Harrison. We destroy their credibility completely. I left with a plan and renewed purpose. They thought I was weak, trusting, easy to fool. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Friday night, Amanda suggested we have dinner at Diane's on Saturday. Just family, she said. Nothing formal. Her mother wanted to see the kids, and Karen would be there with her husband. Sounds great, I said, not looking up from the engineering journal I was pretending to read. What time? 6 o'clock. Mom's making pot roast. She paused. You know how she worries about us. She just wants to help. Help. The word tasted bitter. Saturday arrived with clear skies and the weight of knowing what was coming. I spent the morning with Brandon, helping him change the oil in his car. My son was talking about college applications, asking questions about engineering programs, debating between Stanford and Berkeley. What do you think, Dad? He wiped his hands on a rag. Stanford has the better program, but Berkeley is closer to home. I looked at my 17-year-old son, so close to adulthood, and wondered how this divorce would affect him. Whether he'd choose sides. Whether Amanda would turn him against me. Choose the school that challenges you most, I said. Don't make decisions based on geography or comfort. Make them based on where you'll grow. He nodded, considering this. Thanks, Dad. At 4 o'clock, I showered and changed in casual clothes. Amanda was getting Lily ready, brushing our daughter's hair while singing some Disney song. A normal family getting ready for dinner with Grandma. Except nothing was normal anymore. We drove to Diane's estate in Mill Valley, a sprawling property that screamed old money. Brandon rode up front with me, talking about his history teacher. Lily sat in back with Amanda, chattering about a playground incident involving a boy named Tyler and a disputed swing. Diane's house was everything ours wasn't. Traditional, established, the kind of place that had been in the family for generations. She greeted us at the door, all warmth and smiles. Thomas, Amanda, and my beautiful grandchildren. She hugged everyone, lingering longest with Lily. Come in, come in. Karen and David are already here. Karen was Diane's younger daughter, Amanda's sister. She'd married a corporate lawyer 5 years ago and lived in a condo in San Francisco that cost more than most houses. She was sitting in the living room with her husband David, both of them holding wine glasses. Tom, Karen stood to hug me. It's been too long. Had it? We'd seen them 3 weeks ago at some charity event Diane had organized. Dinner was exactly as planned. Pot roast, roasted vegetables, Diane's famous dinner rolls. The conversation flowed easily. Karen talked about a vacation they were planning to Italy. David discussed a case he was working on. Brandon mentioned his college applications. Lily told everyone about her preschool turkey craft. I played my part, laughed at jokes, complimented the food, asked polite questions, all while watching Amanda and Diane exchange glances I wasn't supposed to notice. After dinner, Diane suggested the men take coffee in the library while she and Amanda cleaned up. I almost laughed at the transparent manipulation. Get me away from the women. Keep me occupied. David and I sat in Diane's library with Brandon, making small talk about sports and politics. Through the doorway, I could see into the dining room where Diane, Amanda, and Karen were gathered around the table, papers spread out, having an urgent whispered conversation. The papers. The fraudulent documents they were about to have me sign. Tom, you look distracted, David said. Everything okay? Just tired. Work's been demanding lately. I hear you. The grind never stops, does it? 20 minutes later, Amanda appeared in the doorway. Honey, can you come here for a second? I need you to sign some paperwork. This was it. I followed her to the dining room. The table had been cleared except for a neat stack of documents and a pen. Diane stood on one side, Karen on the other, both smiling encouragingly. What's this? I asked, keeping my voice casual. Just some refinancing paperwork, Amanda said smoothly. Remember we talked about lowering our monthly payment? I finally got everything organized. I just need your signature on a few forms. I picked up the first document. It looked official. Mortgage company letterhead. Dense legal language. The words refinancing and monthly payment prominently featured. Buried in the middle of page 3 was the quitclaim deed. The document that would transfer my house entirely to Amanda's name. The foundation of their fraud. I'd reviewed this exact document with Laura Mitchell 2 days ago. She'd show me exactly where to look, what to watch for. We'd practiced this moment. Where do I sign? I asked. Amanda's relief was almost palpable. Just here, and initial here. She pointed to the signature lines with a manicured finger. I signed. Thomas Harrison. 3 times. Smooth and easy, like I'd done it 1,000 times before. Perfect, Diane said, gathering the papers quickly. That's done. Now who wants dessert? I made apple pie. Just like that. 19 years of marriage, 22 years of building a career, everything I'd worked for, signed away in 30 seconds. Karen hugged me. Thanks for being so cooperative, Tom. Some men make such a fuss about paperwork. It's just refinancing, I said. No big deal. We had dessert. Apple pie with vanilla ice cream. Diane asked Brandon about his college plans. Amanda played with Lily. Everything normal and pleasant and utterly false. I played my role perfectly. The trusting husband. The man who signs whatever his wife puts in front of him. The fool they thought I was. But in my pocket was my phone, and in my phone was Laura Mitchell's number. And on Monday morning, we begin documenting everything they'd just done. Let them think they'd won. Let them celebrate their successful fraud. The reckoning was coming. Sunday morning, Amanda was in an unusually good mood. She made pancakes for breakfast, sang along to the radio, kissed me more affectionately than she had in months. The successful execution of her plan had energized her. I'm so glad we got that paperwork done, she said, flipping pancakes. One less thing to worry about. Yeah, I said. Good to have a handle. Brandon came downstairs, still half asleep. What paperwork? Just boring refinancing stuff, Amanda said quickly. Nothing important. I watched my son pour orange juice, oblivious to what had just happened to our family. In a few weeks, maybe a month, his mother would file for divorce. His world would shatter. And I was powerless to warn him because doing so would compromise Laura's strategy. That afternoon, I told Amanda I needed to run to the office to check on some project files. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop 3 towns over and called Laura Mitchell from my truck. Mr. Harrison, she answered on the second ring. I've been waiting for your call. I signed the documents last night, exactly as we discussed. Good. How'd it go down? I described the evening in detail. The family dinner. The casual presentation. Amanda's smooth explanation. Diane and Karen's presence as witnesses to my supposed compliance. Laura was typing as I talked. Perfect. This actually strengthens our case. They staged it as a family gathering to make it seem natural. The presence of your sister-in-law and mother-in-law demonstrates coordination. We can use that. What happens now? Now we wait. They'll need time to process the deed transfer, maybe 2 weeks. Then they'll likely wait another couple of weeks before filing for divorce to avoid the appearance of coordination. That gives us roughly a month. A month of pretending. A month of lying next to my wife, knowing she was planning to destroy me. In the meantime, Laura continued, I need you to do something. Start documenting everything. Every conversation with Amanda about finances. Every interaction with Diane. Every text message. Keep a journal with dates and times. We're building a timeline of their fraud. Understood. Also, I've been researching Diane Westbrook. Your mother-in-law is interesting. Very interesting. How so? She's been married twice. Her first husband, Amanda's father, died 20 years ago. Heart attack at 53. Left her everything despite having been married for 30 years. I'm still digging, but preliminary records show a property transfer pattern similar to what they're doing to you. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. She's done this before. Possibly. I'm trying to locate the first husband's family, see if anyone will talk. If we can establish a pattern of behavior, it makes our case even stronger. We talked for another 20 minutes about strategy and next steps. When I hung up, I sat in my truck watching people come and go from the coffee shop. Normal people living normal lives, unaware that the man sitting in the Ford F-150 was waging a secret war against his own family. I drove home to find Amanda and Lily in the backyard. My daughter was on her swing set while Amanda worked in the garden. A picture-perfect scene of domestic tranquility. Daddy, Lily called. Push me higher. I spent the next hour pushing my daughter on the swing, listening to her laugh, trying to memorize the sound. In a month, maybe less, this would all change. Custody arrangements. Visitation schedules. Lawyers arguing over who got Christmas morning. That night, after the kids were asleep, Amanda curled up next to me on the couch. I've been thinking, she said, maybe we should take a vacation. Just the 2 of us. My mom could watch the kids. We could go somewhere romantic. Reconnect. While she was planning to divorce me. That sounds nice, I lied. Where were you thinking? Maybe Napa? Wine country. Nice restaurants. We could do a spa day. Let me check my work schedule. The Sacramento project is in a critical phase. She kissed my cheek. You work too hard. You need to relax more. I pulled her closer, played the role of the loving husband. But inside, I was counting down days. Documenting. Preparing. Monday morning, I started keeping the journal Laura had requested. Every interaction. Every conversation. Building evidence. Amanda met with Diane twice that week. Just lunch, she said. Mom's been lonely since Dad died. I noted the dates and times. Wednesday, Amanda came home with new clothes. Expensive ones. Designer labels I couldn't afford on my salary. Mom took me shopping, she explained. An early birthday gift. Her birthday wasn't for 5 months. I photographed the receipts she'd left on the counter. Added them to the file. Thursday, I received an email from Brandon's school. Amanda had updated his emergency contact information, removing me as the primary contact and adding Diane instead. I forwarded the email to Laura with a single word. Evidence. By Friday, I had a detailed record of Amanda's movements, her spending, her coordination with her mother. Every piece another brick in the wall we were building. That evening, Amanda suggested we have a family movie night. We made popcorn, piled onto the couch, and watched some animated film Lily had chosen. Brandon sat on one end, scrolling through his phone. Lily nestled between Amanda and me. My wife held my hand, laughed at the movie's jokes, played the part of the happy mother and devoted wife. I watched her perform and wondered when she'd become such an accomplished liar. Or had she always been this way, and I'd just been too trusting to notice? The movie ended. We put Lily to bed together, Amanda reading a story while I tucked in the blankets. Our daughter's eyes grew heavy, her small hand clutching her favorite stuffed elephant. "Love you, Daddy," she murmured. "Love you too, sweetheart." In 3 weeks, maybe 4, Amanda would file for divorce. She claimed the house was hers. She'd fight for primary custody of this beautiful little girl who trusted both her parents completely. But this time, unlike Diane's previous victims, she was facing someone who knew what was coming, someone who'd prepared, someone who wasn't going to roll over and accept defeat. Let her file. Let her think her plan had worked. The truth was waiting. 3 weeks into my performance, Laura Mitchell called with news. "I found someone," she said without preamble. Victoria Ashford, Diane's daughter from her first marriage. I was sitting in my truck during lunch break, parked in an empty lot away from the construction site. "Diane has another daughter." Had. Victoria was cut off from the family 25 years ago. She refused to divorce her husband when Diane demanded it. "Your mother-in-law doesn't tolerate disobedience." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Is she willing to talk? More than willing. She's been waiting years for someone to challenge her mother. She has documents, Tom. Financial records, legal papers, evidence of what Diane did to her father. Amanda's father? No. Diane's first husband. Victoria's father. He died 30 years ago at 52. Heart attack officially. But the stress of losing everything he'd built probably contributed. Victoria watched her mother systematically strip her father of his assets, using the exact same playbook they're using on you. I sat in silence, processing this. When can I meet her? Tomorrow. She lives in Sacramento. I've arranged a meeting at my office at 2 o'clock. The next afternoon, I told Amanda I had a project meeting in San Francisco. Instead, I drove to Laura's office and met Victoria Ashford. She was 53, professional, carrying herself with the dignity of someone who'd survived a war. We shook hands, and I saw recognition in her eyes. She'd seen what I was going through, because she'd watched it happen to her father. "Mr. Harrison," she said, "thank you for fighting back. Someone needs to stop her." We sat in Laura's conference room, and Victoria opened a box she'd brought. Inside were files dating back 3 decades. My mother married my father in 1968. He was a good man, kind, hardworking. He owned a small manufacturing company. Not wealthy, but comfortable. She pulled out financial documents. Within 5 years, she'd convinced him to put major assets in her name. "For tax purposes," she said, "to protect the family." Laura was taking notes. "And your father agreed?" "He trusted her completely. Just like you trusted Amanda, Mr. Harrison." Victoria's eyes met mine. By the time he realized what was happening, it was too late. She filed for divorce in 1978. Claimed everything was her separate property, left him with almost nothing. What happened to him? He tried to fight it, spent 2 years in court, drained his savings on legal fees. The stress destroyed his health. Heart attack in 1980. Her voice remained steady, but her hand shook slightly. My mother remarried 6 months later. Amanda's father, another good man she could control. Did she do the same thing to him? I asked. Not exactly. She'd learned from the first divorce. This time, she set up the financial structure from the beginning. Prenuptial agreements, separate property designations, loans that were really gifts. When he died 3 years ago, everything was already hers legally. Laura leaned forward. "Victoria, would you be willing to testify about this pattern of behavior?" I've been waiting 25 years for someone to ask. She pushed the box across the table. "It's all here. Financial records, court documents, my father's diary from the divorce proceedings. Everything you need to prove this is what she does." I looked through the files. Property transfers, quitclaim deeds, backdated loans. The same scheme they were running on me, documented in faded papers from decades ago. "Why did she cut you off?" I asked. Victoria smiled sadly. "Because I married for love instead of money. My husband was a teacher. Solid, dependable, not wealthy. Mother demanded I divorce him and marry someone more suitable. When I refused, she declared me dead to the family. I haven't spoken to her or Amanda in 25 years. Amanda knows about you. She was 5 when Mother erased me from family history. She probably doesn't remember I exist. Victoria stood, walked to the window. I tried to warn Amanda's father once. Sent him a letter after they'd been married 10 years. He never responded. Mother probably intercepted it. Laura was organizing the documents Victoria had brought. This is exactly what we need. It establishes a pattern. Shows this isn't a one-time mistake, but a systematic approach to relationships and marriage. There's something else, Victoria said. Mother keeps detailed records. Financial journals, property documents, everything. She stores them in her library, in the safe behind the bookshelf. The combination is her wedding date to my father. She's never changed it. Too sentimental about her first successful operation. I stared at her. You're suggesting we break into her house. I'm suggesting that if someone happened to access those records legally, perhaps through proper discovery procedures in a lawsuit, they'd find decades of evidence. Victoria handed me a piece of paper. That's the combination. Do with it what you will. We talked for another hour. Victoria shared stories about her father, about watching Diane manipulate and control, about the warning signs she wished she'd been able to give someone. When she left, Laura and I sat in silence. That's our silver bullet, Laura finally said. A daughter willing to testify against her own mother. Documentation of the same fraud pattern. This isn't just about your case anymore, Tom. This is about stopping someone who's been doing this for 30 years. I drove home with Victoria's box of evidence in my truck and a new understanding of what I was really fighting. This wasn't just about my house or my marriage. It was about breaking a cycle that had destroyed multiple families across 3 decades. That night, Amanda mentioned casually that she was meeting with Diane tomorrow to discuss holiday planning. That's nice, I said. Tell her I said hello. I didn't mention that I'd just met her firstborn daughter, the one she'd erased from history. Some secrets were worth keeping. Brandon came to me on a Thursday evening. I was in the garage, organizing tools, when my son appeared in the doorway. Dad, can we talk? Something in his voice made me set down the wrench I'd been holding. Of course. What's wrong? He closed the garage door, ensuring privacy. At 17, he was almost a man, but right now he looked uncertain, troubled. I heard something I wasn't supposed to hear. He pulled out his phone. I came home early from Jake's yesterday. Mom didn't know I was back. She was on the phone in the kitchen with Grandma Diane. My heart rate increased. Okay. I recorded it. I know that's messed up, but something felt wrong, so He trailed off, held out his phone. You need to hear this, Dad. I took the phone, pressed play. Amanda's voice came through clearly. Mom, I don't know if I can do this. He signed the papers. The house is in my name now, but actually filing for divorce. Amanda's voice wavered. He's a good father. The kids love him. Diane's response was ice cold. We've been over this, Amanda. You've wasted 19 years on a man who can't provide the life you deserve. Don't get sentimental now. The plan is working perfectly. But what about Brandon? He'll be devastated. And Lily's so young. The children will adjust. They always do. Once the divorce is final and you're properly settled, you'll meet someone appropriate. Someone from our circle. The kids will have a better life. Better opportunities. I just feel like maybe we're being too harsh. Tom's not a bad person. No, he's just the wrong person. There's a difference. Now, Jeffrey says we should file within the next 2 weeks. The house transfer is complete. The loan documentation is solid. The longer we wait, the more risk there is of him discovering something. My son's voice pulled me back. Dad, what's she talking about? What house transfer? What divorce? I looked at Brandon, my 17-year-old son who just discovered his mother was planning to destroy our family. I'd wanted to protect him from this. Wanted to keep him out of it until everything was resolved. But he found out anyway. And now I had to decide whether to lie or bring him into the truth. Sit down, son, I said. There's something I need to tell you. We sat on the garage floor, backs against my truck, and I told him everything. The camera George Hamilton had forgotten. The videos of Amanda, Diane, and Karen planning the fraud. The quitclaim deed I'd signed 3 weeks ago. Laura Mitchell's strategy. Victoria Ashford's testimony. Brandon listened without interrupting, his face cycling through disbelief, anger, and finally cold determination. So Mom and Grandma are stealing our house, he said when I finished. Yes, And they're planning to divorce you and take Lily and me? That's their plan. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, what can I do to help? I looked at my son, seeing the man he was becoming. Brandon, I don't want to drag you into this. You shouldn't have to choose sides between your parents. I'm not choosing sides, Dad. I'm choosing what's right. His jaw set in a way that reminded me of myself. Mom's committing fraud. Grandma's manipulating everyone. That's wrong, period. So what can I do? Right now? Nothing. Just act normal. Don't let your mother know you suspect anything. Can you do that? I've been doing it since yesterday. He stood, offered me his hand to pull me up. Dad, I'm almost 18. In 2 months, I'm legally an adult. Whatever custody battle happens, I can choose where I live. And I choose you. The words hit harder than I expected. Son, no, listen. I've watched you work your whole life to provide for us. You've been at every school event, every sports game, every important moment. You've never asked for anything except for us to be happy. His voice was firm. Mom's planning to take everything from you. I'm not going to let that happen without fighting back. I pulled him into a hug. My son, almost a man, standing with me instead of against me. Thank you, I said. That means everything. There's something else, Brandon said when we separated. That recording I made. Can your lawyer use it? I'll ask her. It might be admissible since you're a member of the household, and Amanda had no expectation of privacy in her own kitchen. Good. Because I also have text messages. Mom's been texting Aunt Karen and Grandma in a group chat. I borrowed her phone yesterday while she was in the shower and forwarded them to myself. I stared at him. You did what? Dad, you taught me to always be prepared, to anticipate problems, to gather information before making decisions. He pulled up the messages on his phone. This is information, and it proves they've been planning this for months, not weeks. The messages were damning. Discussions about timing, strategies for keeping me unaware, plans for after the divorce. Everything in digital black and white. Brandon, this is incredible. But son, you can't tell your mother what you know. This has to stay between us and Laura. I know. I'm not stupid. He paused. Is it weird that I'm not more upset? Like, I should be devastated that Mom's doing this, but mainly I'm just angry. That's not weird. That's normal. The hurt comes later. Right now, you're in shock and running on adrenaline. He nodded. I need to protect Lily. She's too young to understand, but she's going to be caught in the middle of this. We'll both protect her. That's what we do. That night, Amanda came home from her meeting with Diane in good spirits. She chatted through dinner about holiday plans, asked Brandon about his college applications, helped Lily with the art project. The perfect mother, the devoted wife. And our son and I sat across from her, knowing exactly what she was planning, playing our own parts in this elaborate performance. After the kids went to bed, I forwarded Brandon's recording and the screenshots to Laura with a message. New evidence. My son found this. Let me know if it's usable. Her response came within minutes. This is gold. Your son just made our case airtight. 2 weeks until Amanda planned to file for divorce. 2 weeks until everything came out. I could wait 2 more weeks. 2 weeks after Brandon's discovery, Amanda announced she needed to talk. We were sitting in the living room after the kids went to bed. She looked nervous, her hands twisting together. Tom, I need to be honest with you about something. Here it was. The moment we've been waiting for. What is it? I kept my voice neutral. I've been unhappy for a while now. I didn't want to admit it, but... She took a breath. I think we should separate. Maybe divorce. I'll let silence hang between us. Where is this coming from? I've been doing a lot of thinking. We're different people than when we got married. We want different things. I think it's better for everyone if we end this now, while we can still be civil. What about the kids? They'll adjust. Kids are resilient, and it's better than staying in an unhappy marriage. She reached for my hand. I let her take it. I've already talked to an attorney. I'm filing the papers tomorrow. I wanted to tell you myself first. That's thoughtful, I said flatly. The house will stay with me. My mother's loan covered most of the down payment, so legally it's my separate property. But you'll get fair visitation with kids. My attorney says we can make this easy. Easy. She was stealing my house and planning to take my children, and calling it easy. I see. I stood. Thank you for telling me. She looked surprised. That's it. No fight. No argument. What will be the point? You've clearly made up your mind. You've already talked to an attorney. The papers are being filed tomorrow. I met her eyes. Sounds like this is happening whether I want it or not. Relief flooded her face. Tom, I appreciate you being mature about this. Really, a lot of men would make this ugly. I'm not a lot of men. The next morning, I called Laura Mitchell. She told me last night. Said she's filing today. Perfect. As soon as the petition is filed, we move. I've already prepared everything. The moment those papers are submitted to the court, we file our response with all the evidence. The recordings, Victoria's testimony, Brandon's audio, everything. And then we request an emergency hearing. Fraud allegations trigger immediate judicial attention. We'll be in front of a judge within a week. Amanda left the house at 10 a.m., dressed professionally, off to file papers that would end our marriage and steal my home. I went to work, put in my hours, and waited for Laura's call. It came at 3 p.m. It's filed. I've submitted our response. Emergency hearing is scheduled for next Tuesday. Tom, it's time to tell Amanda you know. That evening, when Amanda came home smiling, I handed her a document. What's this? She asked. My response to your divorce petition. You should read it. She opened it, and I watched the color drain from her face as she read. Fraud allegations. Evidence of conspiracy. Witness testimony. Request for criminal investigation. What is this? Her voice shook. Tom, what did you do? I protected myself. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? That I'd just sign away my house and let you take everything? You knew? This whole time you knew. Her hands were trembling. Yes. And so does the court. So does my attorney. So do several witnesses who will testify about your mother's pattern of doing this to men. I picked up my truck keys. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. My lawyer will be in touch. I walked out, leaving her holding the papers that would destroy her plan. The emergency hearing happened 5 days later. Judge Patricia Simmons presided, a woman in her 60s known for zero tolerance for fraud. Amanda sat with Jeffrey Pierce, who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Diane was in the gallery, her face a mask of controlled fury. Karen sat beside her. Brandon had chosen to sit with me. My 17-year-old son, publicly taking his father's side. Laura presented our case methodically. The videos from George Hamilton's camera played on the courtroom screen. Audio of Amanda, Diane, and Karen planning the fraud. Discussing how to trick me. Calling me dead weight. Jeffrey Pierce tried to object, but Judge Simmons silenced him with a look. Then came Victoria Ashford. Diane's face went white when her estranged daughter walked to the witness stand. Victoria testified about watching Diane destroy her father 30 years ago. About the same patterns, the same tactics, the same backdated loans and property transfers. This isn't a mistake, Victoria said. This is what my mother does. She did it to my father. She positioned herself to do it to Amanda's father. And now she's taught her daughter to do it to Mr. Harrison. Brandon's recording played next. Amanda's voice admitting the house transfer was complete. Diane pushing her to file quickly before I discovered anything. When Laura rested our case, Judge Simmons turned to Jeffrey Pierce. Does your client have any defense to offer? Pierce conferred with Amanda, who was crying. No, Your Honor. My client wishes to withdraw the divorce petition. Too late for that, the judge said. This court is referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal investigation. Mrs. Harrison, you and your mother should expect to be contacted by law enforcement. Mr. Pierce, I'm forwarding your conduct to the state bar. She turned to me. Mr. Harrison, the quitclaim deed signed under fraudulent pretenses is hereby voided. The property at 428 Cascade Drive is restored to joint ownership. You're awarded primary custody of both minor children, pending further proceedings. The gavel came down. Amanda's plan had collapsed completely. Outside the courtroom, Brandon hugged me. You did it, Dad. We did it. I corrected. You and Victoria and Laura and everyone who refused to let them win. 2 months later, the divorce was final. I kept the house. Brandon chose to live with me full-time. Lily had primary residence with me, with Amanda getting supervised visitation while the criminal investigation proceeded. Diane was charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. Jeffrey Pierce was disbarred. Amanda accepted a plea deal that avoided jail time, but required restitution and probation. I stood in my house, the one I'd almost lost, watching Brandon help Lily with her homework. My son was heading to Berkeley in the fall. My daughter was thriving with the stability of a predictable routine. The battle had been hard, but I'd fought back. I protected what was mine. And my children learned that standing up for what's right matters more than keeping the peace. That was the lesson worth teaching.